Hello, folks. It's Jeremy Greer. I can't pronounce my own name today. You guys know this podcast and you know the ways to support it, but I'm going to run you through it anyway. Patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. It's the place to be if you like Duckfeed. Full of all kinds of cool things. At the time this episode comes out, I think there's been some structural changes to the Patreon, so go check that out. And I want to apologize in advance for these two miserable episodes of The Hulk, because they are extremely miserable, but we wrung every last bit of fun out of them we possibly could. So, without further ado, enjoy this episode.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we huff Hulk juice so we can get Hulk strong and bring you Hulk content. Gary, I neglected. We're recording 2 episodes today. I forgot to ask you how you were doing last episode.
It's okay. We had a lot to talk about that was off topic.
That's true.
I'm pretty good.
You doing well? Things are good in the life of Gary Butterfield?
Doing pretty good. Working out stuff. I think 2019 is going to be a good year is my hope. Not for like the country or nothing. I think, of course it will be an extremely bad year, but perhaps a good year for me personally. Feeling pretty good. Got the holidays coming up.
Yeah.
Which I have no family, so I won't be doing anything for the actual holidays. But me and my girlfriend are going to go hang out.
Nice.
During that week and do some holiday stuff. And I got a cool thing planned for her for Christmas. She does not listen to the shows and never probably will. Which is fine. So I'm going to take her, we're going to go blow some glass. We're going to go make things.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go to like a studio and make, build dishes.
Got to blow some glass and smoke some weed, am I right? That's what they do in Portland.
We're going to blow some glass, and it's just glass ass or grass. Nobody dates for free when it comes to me. It's going to be, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be good fun times. And,
when Autumn and I were dating, we went to one of those like paint ceramic kind of stores, and we both and I'm an atrocious artist. Like I'm not good. I've never have been good. Like it's just bad. Autumn drew this real pretty city skyline, and it was real dark with this light background. It looked really dope, really cool. I had just a bunch of brush strokes all over the place and was like, this is my emotions about 2002. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. But we kept them for years and years and years. And only recently, I broke the handle off of hers, the one that she had made when I was washing dishes. And I felt super bad about it because we've had them for so long. You become attached to these things. And she didn't give a fuck. She was like, oh, that's a bummer. But what are you going to do? So what I'm saying is don't break the glass after you blow it. That's my relationship advice.
Nice chance. I'm also going to try not to get set on fire because I've done those before and it is pretty hot. It's I did one of those painting ceramic things as well, and I made a little roars.
Oh, nice.
A little cat and stuff, and that broke when I moved out. I made that with my last serious ex when we lived together, and then I broke that while packing. It was very symbolic. It's just wow. I was packing up. While she was sneaking back into my old house to pack while she was at work. And knocked it off a shelf, and it shattered on the ground. So the only way that could have been more symbolic is if I knocked it off a shelf, rushing roars to the hospital or something. So it had 2 different pathways for being symbolic, and it chose the relationship one.
Well, I guess that's it. All things must end or something, right? Not what they say on Game of Thrones.
I'm fine.
Are you okay? Do we need to cry together, my man?
Yeah. No, it's okay. We're watching a 30-second scene of a father and son in Spider-Verse.
Sure. We don't want to get emotional together or anything.
Nuh-uh. So we're going to talk about 2 kind of shitty Hulk episodes, this thing, but we're coming up on that climax, and that climax does feature something called Teen Hulk. So
Teen Hulk, you say?
Oh, have I not told you that yet?
No.
Whoops. I meant for that to be a surprise. I thought I already spoiled it. My dude, buckle up. So next recording session is going to feature something, a little something they like to call Teen Hulk.
That's yeah. I just saw those words in the Wikipedia page, and now I'm I guess super excited about it. It's
intriguing, right? Like the idea of a Teen Hulk.
Yeah, but I just read who it's going to be, and now I'm a little less.
I'm way more into it, actually. It's going to be the payoff for all of our suffering.
So let's get through these 2 episodes so that we could get to the good stuff, the good content.
Yeah. No, yeah, we got to rush through these bad boys. So we're going to start off here with episode 9, Mortal Bounds. And that's frustrating because a lot of these episodes, like if they're not about like a guest star, their names are all like, what measure be a man? And like a man hath his measure and shit like that. Like, so Mortal Bounds has nothing to do with what happens here. Yeah. Written by Ernesto Lopez, Bruce Reed Schaefer, and Greg Blair came up with the story. This aired on November 17th, 1996. Banner might be the only one who can cure a gamma virus in Detroit that the Gargoyle accidentally created while trying to cure himself. But when the Gargoyle and the Abomination kidnap Banner to help themselves, the Hulk may need the help of who? The mighty Thor.
That's not accurate in the least, but okay, nope, sure, let's go.
And like people, these cameos are a big part of why I like this cartoon. The mighty Thor is a pretty disappointing one.
Yeah, I was pretty sad to see this dude. I've never really, this is going to sound dumb, but I've never really liked the idea of the Thor that is the doctor/nurse guy that transforms into Thor. Like that's always been kind of boring to me. I've never really.
I think that sucks too.
Yeah, I just give me like full-time Thor all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Although Thor is voice acted by Jonathan Rhys-Davies, which is kind of a huge dude. Like if you know anything like that dude, but he's just not really given anything to do besides talk about Odin a few times, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, he's phoning it in.
Yeah,
like it's fair to say. I also don't like Nurse Thor. Like this was the Thor of most of the Thor comics, but it's never worked for me. And the Thor of the movies is based on Ultimate Thor, which I've always thought was like better and more interesting.
Yeah,
it like simplifies things. In the 70s and 60s for Marvel, you had to have dual identities. That's just kind of how it was. And this is their version of that. Like, how can we make a Norse god? But it's too much like Shazam.
Yeah, the cane snap is, I think, what gets me. Like, and as much as I like using the threaded cane in Bloodborne, and I like that snap when he puts it back into a sword, this cane snap does not work for me whatsoever.
It's not the same kind of cane snap.
It doesn't tickle my fancy the same way.
Yeah, so this is a pretty disappointing Thor. And I think we're going to move pretty quick through both these episodes because, like, there's just not goodness. Like, they're pretty boring, actually.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot happening here. So Hulk gets off a train. The last time we saw Hulk, to catch listeners up, he just had left New York. He had left his soulmate cousin behind, the love of his life, Jennifer Walters. He left her behind in New York City so she could shop and bang superheroes while he flees the government.
And Luke Cage, like, let's be honest. Like, if I were in that situation, Luke Cage is number one.
I'm surprised, like, she just doesn't have a tracking app for Luke Cage at this point and just shows up and he like, oh, hey, you're here too?
the Cager app or whatever. It just shows wherever he's at.
The Cager without the E, just like the complete Cager. It's just Luke Cage banging women. That's all that is. There's no swiping right except for Luke Cage.
Yeah. Every time it's just a different picture of him. It just pulls out a different, it's the same profile, but just different pictures. And you just like swipe right or left, depending on what you want him to wear that night or something.
Yeah. Ooh, that's 270s. Okay, this will work.
No, this is the good one.
So Hulk gets out of this like hobo train that he's been riding the rails on across America and manages to turn back into Banner by the power of grass and not weed, but actual just normal everyday grass.
He lays in a field because the number of things that can turn the Hulk back into Banner at this point. Most common, like if somebody was taking tabs of them, most common is just saying the word Betty.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like you say that, bam, instant Banner. Calling him your friend, showing him some grass, putting him underwater. Like there are a few different things that do it.
He carries he carries a tape recorder. You think he would just like have a thing rigged up? He's a scientist and he can do this. Just have a thing rigged up to play Black Betty every time he transforms into the Hulk. So now we get a little like jazz every time it happens, and then he doesn't hurt anybody.
play. Sun's going down, big guy. Like play the video. They did it in the movies.
So he calls. He manages to get to a payphone and calls Betty, and Betty's like, "Oh, you're in South Dakota. Great. We're almost finished with the cure." And
you know what that cure is?
A nutrient
bath, bro. It's time for a nutrient bath update.
It's a gamma bath bomb. She just
it's going to pay off. Like that nutrient bath is a big part of the finale of the show. She's like, "Hey, me and Samson are finished railing each other. Doing this cure." And then, however, she's like, "Who's on this line?" And fucking Gabriel and General Ross, like two older brothers in Home Alone or something, are like eavesdropping on the phone. Like, we listened to my sister's diary.
Not even like cool eavesdropping. Not even like I planted a bug. They just picked up an extension in the gamma base. That's all this is. Like they heard a
line
click
in this fucking gamma base.
What are you doing?
Does everyone share the same phone line? Like, I have to call the president. Oh no! Like Betty's playing Counter-Strike. I can't. Like.
Love it. Okay, hold on. Betty plays Counter-Strike. Is she classic, or is she new, or what is she doing? Is she a mod? What's she going on? I don't know anything about Counter-Strike. So
yeah, she's part of a clan.
Okay.
She mains submachine guns. I don't actually know enough about Counter-Strike either.
Yeah, I don't. If you said Overwatch, I could roll with you on that. But you hate Overwatch.
That's why I went old school. I don't hate Overwatch. It's not for me.
No, Gary, you hate it. I could tell from your Twitter, you hate it.
How about you let me decide what I hate? The things I hate include Kingdom Hearts and anime, Star Wars. That's
Overwatch.
Most of it. I don't hate Overwatch.
Legacy of Kain.
Nier tricky though.
I don't really give a fuck.
No, it's okay because I don't want to hate Nier. It's only people telling me that I can't hate Nier that makes me want to do it. That's me at my most contrarian. Is people getting all up in my shit about it. Like, if everyone just left me alone at Nier, I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty interested in playing it. But the fact that people won't leave me alone about it, that's what makes me not like it. So I don't really blame the game for the people. So.
That's fair.
Undertale.
You can blame the game for the shitty combat. Am I right?
Yeah. Hell yeah. So anyway, so they've been eavesdropping. She comes up. She's like, "How dare you?" And he's like, "Listen, I know you care about him, but I don't give a damn because he's going to kill people." And again, like he's kind of right.
Yeah, these two episodes, I find myself sympathizing a lot with General Ross in all of this because he's kind of got a little arc where he even bonds with the Hulk a little bit, and they kind of reunite in their love for Betty, and then they tug each other off a little bit, and then but then he's like, "No, but this guy's going to go kill somebody. Like that's going to happen."
It's like he grows respect for him, but understands that he's too dangerous.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's okay though, because as soon as they have this conversation and Ross is like, "I don't give a fuck," some dude arrives and is like, "Hey Betty, you got to come to Detroit. I can't tell you why, but I have a federal aegis to do so. Come on, get on the plane. Let's go."
Now, aegis means shield. I don't think that means this is SHIELD, the organization. I think this means somebody didn't know what that word meant. I thought it sounded cool.
I thought that was like a summons.
No, an aegis is a shield.
What am I?
So, maybe it might have multiple meanings. Let me throw federal aegis into Google.
No, don't do that because I just did that and didn't go anywhere.
Okay, well it's too late. There's Aegis Defense Services, which is a British paramilitary group.
Yeah, for some reason I thought maybe I'm just spelling it wrong, but I definitely thought that there was like a
summons.
Yeah, like I thought that meant like we are going to command you to. The people are fucking losing their minds right now. By the way, like there's somebody out there is just pounding on their car stereo, going, "That's not the word, you idiots."
Yeah, so somebody knows what it is. Now, to be fair to us, one, we don't know what words mean. Two, the sound mixing in the show is exceptionally bad.
It is, yeah. Like
people mumble their line. We talked about that from the first episode. People mumble their lines. We're in the Daily Motion, punishment zone. Watching this, like we do not, we are not getting a good rip of this because we couldn't buy it. So we're not getting perfectly clear audio.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating sometimes trying to figure out. I was still trying to Google what word this was, and for some reason Google auto-completed federal summer tires. So thanks. I'm just going to close this tab so we can move on from this dumbass bit.
National Anthem starts playing, like over some footage of some tire.
So Betty gets required to go to Detroit, and she does so, where she finds the city is being evacuated, and she meets up with one Dr. Donald Blake, who tells her that the whole city is in quarantine, and they got to keep it a secret, but it's because of a gamma virus. And of course, Betty is like fourth in the gamma field under like several other people, so he invited her along to do this. And the most interesting symptom that they have is that all of the patients exude salt from their bodies. Yeah,
aka sweat.
Yes,
but it's like super pure salt.
Yeah, aka says, pure sweat.
Yeah, aka that weird Gatorade sweat, that weird multicolored sweat that pops out. So Betty said, like, he's like, you can do this. Betty's like, no, we need Banner. Blake's like, no, you can do it. And also Banner's dead. And she's like, listen, you can't find Banner. Bring me the Hulk. If the Hulk shows up, Banner will show up. Wink, 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 wink. And Blake's like, okay.
Sure.
I think I know somebody who can get the Hulk. Wink, 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 wink. They're both just like, just say it. So Blake turns into Thor using his, like, by the power of Shazam thing that mainstream Marvel Universe does. Teleports to South Dakota, where the Hulk is being pursued by the military, of course. This is a good choice for cover for this.
I like this. This is actually one of my favorite parts of this episode.
Like, I just like the image of the Hulk jumping onto Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Just very funny.
I just like that Ross sees this and he's like, we can't fire on a national monument, you dumbasses.
We can't shoot at Teddy Roosevelt's face.
That's fucking George Washington, man. I'd suck his dick right now if he were alive.
It's just very weird. Like, why doesn't the Hulk use national monuments as a shield more often? Why don't more people use national monuments in general? Like, you can't kill me. I'm behind the Magna Carta, motherfucker. Like,
would you dare shoot your plasma ray at someone holding the original Constitution?
Yeah. Always hiding behind the Constitution. So instead of firing him, they use something called a rage cage.
I like this. I like our good rage cage.
Like, it's like WWF rage cage. Like, doesn't it sound like?
Oh, absolutely.
It's gonna be something that people on Twitter will keep tweeting about. And I don't understand. Yeah. Anyway, so he's in the rage cage, and General Ross is like frenemy. The guy from S.H.I.E.L.D. is like, it would take the gods to get somebody out of there. And then Thor shows up. Wink, wink, wink. And then Thor shows up, melts all the equipment, teleports the Hulk out to Detroit, and says, like, hey, you gotta help people out. He doesn't say the magic word Betty, so Hulk is not having it.
Yeah. There's some good Hulk lines in here because he immediately says Hulk no long hair, which is really like he's just a product of the 70s. He's like that one song about signs or whatever.
Signs, that song that takes a brutal stance, just owning the concept of signs. I had an incredible experience, Jeremy, where me and the drummer in my band knew about the song and referenced it, but the guitar player in my band had never heard it before.
Oh, did you get to play it for him for the first time?
Yes.
Did you do the whole thing?
Yeah, I got to, and they were just like, he did not believe us. Like he's like, you're making this up. Nobody would write a song like that. And it sounds like a song that like we would make up, like.
Oh yeah, it's about signs, fucking up the scenery, making me lose my mind.
Always telling you what to do. And it's so general, like it's just about signs and, like there's like good signs, like stop signs. One way, but he just did not believe it. So me and Brian got to be like, dude, you got to hear this. Like,
doesn't that song have like a really weird video too? Like, isn't there just like a extremely bad video associated with that?
If so, we got to look it up because that's going to be the first Teenage Dirtbags of 2019. And so like, because that song I think is one of the funniest fucking songs that's ever been. Very, very good.
Oh yeah, there is definitely an official music video for this.
Oh, I love it. I'm on my way.
It just looks like it's a live performance though. Just skimming through it. So.
I think that we could probably get a half hour out of just the song. Yeah. So Hulk does not like long hair. And Thor is like, listen, people are dying. Tries to drag Hulk back to the spot, but Hulk fights him.
Yeah.
Back here. Yeah. They drag him back to get into this fight. They end up in this underwater tunnel that I might have looked away from my computer during this part because I cannot remember how this happened.
I don't either. So we're just gonna skip past it.
These two, we're really sorry, guys. Like these 2 episodes are really boring, though, and it doesn't sound boring the way we're describing it, and because we're doing frequent asides to the hit 70s,
yeah, because we keep talking about fucking Tesla, because this is now Days of Future Tesla.
Days of Tesla past. We cannot. So we keep fucking it up. So we apologize for this, but the fight just progresses to this tunnel. I'm sure they just fall in the water.
Yeah,
I just don't remember seeing it.
They're on like, I mean, it's an underwater tunnel, like, but so they're fighting and they make their way into it, and Hulk does something. He throws something and he breaks the top, and so that it's about to like flood everybody, which is a weirdly reoccurring thing in this episode. Like they have to stop floods twice in this episode, which I find
and multiple times in the series.
Yeah, and you have to stop She-Hulk from flooding that basement. You know what I'm saying?
Or started from flooding that basement.
My favorite part of this is we start with the catchphrase. This is the first time I remember the catchphrase "Eat green," where the Hulk punches Thor and he says "Eat green," which is really good.
Like he's like in the video game Pit Fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they eventually somehow Hulk gets the hammer, and it turns.
Yeah, Hulk he's too strong, so he can hold the hammer, and the hammer turns back into the cane, which stops Thor from being a Thor.
Yeah,
so Hulk can leave.
So he just leaves, and Thor turns back into, or Blake turns back into Thor, and like uses his lightning power to like weld up some shit, which is hilarious to me. Like he's just drawing some real careful beads in this to fix it.
So since he's saving people, gives Hulk time to get away. Hulk runs into a homeless guy who has the gamma virus, and the homeless guy is like, "You're just like me, man." And I'm like, "No, he's 10 feet tall." And he's also on TV all the time. Like, you know who the Hulk is.
The homeless guy, by the way, looks like he's on a direct path to San Francisco. Like, he heard flowers in San Francisco and was like, I gotta go, and just made it to Detroit and stopped for 20 years.
It's the mamas, the papas, and this guy. And he ends up being a recurring. He shows up later in the episode, and I kind of like that he shows up. So they hang out. Like, Hulk is just, again, he's a melancholy beast. So he hangs out with this guy. And relaxing turns it back into Banner, who actually sees, he's like, "Oh, you're not a Hulk. Why did I believe that? I was such a fucking idiot when I was the Hulk. You actually have gamma poison. Let's get you to a hospital."
I wish Bruce commented more on the shit that he does when he's Hulk. Like, God damn it, I am such a fucking idiot when I'm the Hulk. How did I believe?
Yeah.
Why did I invest in Enron? This was a terrible fucking plan.
What if Banner found that the Hulk had also been keeping tape recorded journals, and every other one is in Hulk voice?
Side B is just the Hulk doing it.
Yeah, just like Hulk not understand down. What down? Just like, oh, very profound, Mr. Hulk.
For Twin Peaks, they actually released the Agent Cooper tapes, like all those times that he was recording himself talking to Diane, and it like won a fucking Grammy or something. And it's actually interesting to listen to if you have like any interest in Twin Peaks at all. But now I'm picturing the version of this, which is like side A is all Banner stuff, and then side B is like Hulk, find grass, scratch, like just weird shit.
Grass soft, rocks hard, bricks heavy. Not too heavy for Hulk though.
Betty. This is going to be some straight up like beat poetry, Jack Kerouac fucking bullshit.
Betty. So they're on the way to the hospital. Meanwhile, we switch over to the Gargoyle. The Gargoyle also somehow grabbed the Abomination when he broke out of the lab.
And made the Abomination slightly smart. Not like smart, but slightly smarter. Give him 5 IQ points.
And he's wearing the same armor that Captain Freedom wears in the end of The Running Man. Okay. When they're going to bring Captain Freedom out of retirement. Like, you just have a big, super strong dude. And, like, what if he just had a weird shoulder, like, steel plate?
It's very bad. Because the Abomination wasn't like a super great design to begin with. So now that he's all armored up, I'm even less into it. I only want naked Abominations, Gary. That's what I need in my life.
And there's like a missing arc in this, because at the end he does the exact same Captain Freedom thing where he's like, I don't need all this armor, all this crutch. And I'm like, you didn't use it as a crutch. Like, we don't know how you got that armor. We don't know what that armor is. Like, you disappeared since the pilot. And now you're back and you have this weird armor and we missed something.
Yeah.
So it's pretty frustrating. So they're stealing electronics and Banner walks by.
I just love this. Even Gargoyle is like, I can't believe this. I'm in Detroit.
What the hell?
What's that guy doing here?
Yeah. It's like Magnolia. Like all of their lives are intertwined in some way. So Banner goes to the hospital, starts yelling orders. Betty sees him. and fills him in. I love how like this is what Blake wanted anyway. You know, it's just kind of weird that it just happened. Like a lot of coincidences in this episode.
They really should have named it Magnolia. I'm with you.
Yeah.
They kind of fill him in. They get Bruce Banner a suit because he's just shirtless. So they get him like an actual suit, like a quarantine suit, like a lab suit, and tells him that they're testing a vaccine. And Bruce is like, "Oh yeah, you should definitely use some of my blood, which is
wink, wink, wink,
maybe been exposed to." And of course Blake is like, "Oh yeah, I get it, no problem."
Oh, okay. So they take the blood. They talk about science and like what's happening exactly a little bit. As they're trying to give the virus to a homeless dude, Betty gets knocked over onto a big pile of gamma viruses. Just a cart just full of them, and just gets soaked.
I like that they just put these out in the hallway. Here's all of our gamma virus that we've taken from various
refrigerator
people.
Or something?
Nope. It's good.
Nope.
It's hallway storage only, my friend.
There's not room in the fridge. I brought a bunch of Coke for everybody. So, and this is no good because it's a bad virus, you know. So Banner talks about Betty and how this is all his fault. And I'm like, really? This one wasn't your fault?
Yeah, you seem like you were actually doing pretty good on this one. Like
you didn't cause the virus. The gargoyle caused the virus, and I don't think you caused the gargoyle. So then the Abomination attacks.
Yep. And
shoots Banner.
He shoots Banner, kidnaps him, and Banner wakes up later. We find out the Abomination is a little less stupid, and then Gargoyle is here, and Gargoyle has gone through like these weird transformations. So like at some points, I can't tell if they were making his, like in some scenes, they're definitely making his head transform, but in other times it just seems like it changes from scene to scene. Like it's very weird and disconcerting, and I'm not sure that I really enjoy it. But he's tried to heal himself. He's tried to fix his face, and instead released a virus on Detroit. So that's what he's, and the way he does this, I love this. It's a group of fucking like maggot looking stuff, insects that somehow ate the gamma virus and then stung salt mine workers who brought it back up into. Is Detroit known for its salt mines? Is this like a fact that I just don't know about Detroit?
I don't think so. I think that this is this weird like reading the item descriptions in Dark Souls, like learn all this shit. I think the idea with the gargoyle is he's supposed to have been cured. Like, I think this is what he's going for, is this look, but in the process gave himself the disease.
Abandoned salt mine found 1,200 feet under Detroit is some definitely Dark Souls shit. So maybe, but this was in 2017. So, like, I'm not sure that, anyway. This was prophetic. It was predicted by this. So that's how this whole thing happened. It's convoluted. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it explains the salt thing, which just really goes nowhere. Yeah.
Betty wakes up and she wants to know if the serum works because she's got this disease, you know. And Banner is kind of doing his science thing. The gargoyle is helping, and they're teaming up. Gargoyle's like, "Yes, I will team up with you, if you save my life."
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, you know. And Banner's like, "You did this, man. Like you know, tons of people are going to die. Like I understand you wanting to turn back into your normal self, but like people are going to die. Like we have to work together to fix this." Which I kind of like too. I like this gray area for the gargoyle. Like he's not the leader. You know, like he's not purely bad. He just has a motivation. He's willing to do shitty things to get there, but he's not, he's not a super villain strictly.
Yeah, he's never wanted to kill Banner. He's always wanted just to compel Banner into his service to fix his face, so that he can then presumably be let Banner go at that point. Who knows?
Yeah, he just wants to look normal. Like, and you know that makes sense.
We get a scene saying that, you know, Betty's pretty close to dying. Blake finds one of the Abomination footprints and says like, "Oh wow, there's a lot of salt in here. Where would he get that from? Possibly any restaurant in America? No, definitely a salt mine is the only place to find." I think he even analyzes the salt or some shit. Like they do a lot of stuff with the salt. Lab techs,
like an unnamed lab tech says, it must be the salt mine. Weirdly enough.
So he's kind of starting to put the pieces together. Gargoyle, meanwhile, is kind of boohooing because he's going to lose his face when he gets cured by the virus. But of course, it's never that simple. So Abomination steps in and is like, "Nope, this is mine now. Fuck both of you guys." And of course, that turns Banner into the Hulk. And then there's a big punchy fight because that's what we do in this episode.
The Abomination, who doesn't seem to have had the disease, injects himself.
Well, they do show him. That's really what I thought the whole armor thing was for. Like they show him with the little green dots on his face at some point.
Gotcha. I missed the green dots.
Yeah. So
he injects himself. It's not all of it though. There's like many doses in this like syringe gun.
Sure. Just like doctors do. They put a lot of doses for a lot of people in one needle, and they just share that needle with everybody.
It saves time washing needles.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Doctors are very irresponsible with sharps. That's their whole thing.
With sharps, listen to you.
I love that as I think Cole reminded me that's what they're called. Like, and I just love that as like a non-specific term. Like, listen, there's just sharps everywhere. Be careful for sharps.
Be careful for sharps.
Be careful. So they fight.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, time for fight. Gargoyle takes it, injects himself with the serum, turns back into ugly Gargoyle, and runs off. So he got his.
Yeah.
Blake analyzes the salt. Shows up at the fight.
As Thor. We should know. He didn't just show up.
Yeah, he tracked it. Yeah, he tracked the salt. Abomination is just like, yeah, fuck it. Like, Abomination is totally flipping the table at this point in all respects. Like, he tore off the armor. He's like, yeah, fuck you guys. And bashes a hole in the roof, which this salt mine is under a lake. So I don't know how scientific that is, but that causes this flood.
Yeah. What is not scientific is that Thor and just welds it back up. He welds the rock roof back up with his godly lightning powers. So thanks, Thor. And then the water drains, because that's definitely what water does in like a cave.
Yeah, where it goes. Yeah, under a lake. It drained back upwards towards into the lake. So Thor, like, Abomination gets away at this point or something like that. Thor takes Hulk back to Betty so he can turn back into Banner. Betty is about to die. Like, and there's a delivery here that's very funny. Thor's like, oh, we're working on the vaccine, but it's not going to be ready in time for her. Like, he's very like, I have you just where I want you. It's very strange. Like, yeah, it's going to be too late for your lady. Yep, my work is done.
Yeah, see you later, guys.
Yourself, Banner. I'm the best scientist. She's about to die, but then Gargoyle shows up to cure her.
Yeah. And he's basically, and he does this whole speech about, hey, we're on the same side now, but don't presume that I'll be this nice to you in the future. We're still going to be enemies in the future. And I'm like, if you want Banner to help you fix your face, hang out with Banner. Like, why are you threatening the guy?
He says they're like made enemies by fate. He's just like, we are fated to be enemies. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like this makes no sense for your character. If that was the case, you'd still be hanging out with the leader.
100%. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty dumb. And of course, military helicopters show up, so Banner has to run away. That's how these episodes end.
Yep.
Betty tells him, like, hey, listen, this time things have to be different. He's like, I'll try again. He's like, this time things had to be different because I don't know how many more times I could say goodbye, which is like pretty intense. Like, listen, I'm getting a little fatigued by this. I keep almost dying. Just waiting for this nutrient bath to be completed.
Every time I leave Samson's bed, something bad happens to me. So I think I'm just going to go back to Samson's bed. That's where I need to be.
If we just hang out all day and like just do a triple decker sandwich between fucking pillow talk and cuddling, like everything's good.
And also gamma research. We got to keep doing our gamma research.
Yeah, giving myself nutrient bubble baths and
trying to figure out how to turn myself into a She-Hulk over here. I heard what you did with Jennifer, and I am into that.
Yeah. So Banner jumps on a train car with the same homeless guy from before, offers him a ride.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the episode. It's not good. It's not terrible. No. The next episode is way worse.
The next episode is extremely worse. It's
one of my least favorite in the series.
Yeah. And the Wind Cries Wendigo, which is that a Jimi Hendrix reference in the Wind Cries Mary kind of? Is that what's happening?
It's a name of a comic. It might have originally been a Jimi Hendrix thing, but I'm pretty sure that like When the Wind Cries Wendigo is the name of a famous Wendigo comic.
Cool. The Hulk and General Ross must work together to save Betty from a supernatural beast called the Wendigo. This was when Wolverine was supposed to show up, but did not because he was having a much better time on the X-Men and did not want to come into this shitty show.
Did they not realize he's not an actor?
he's not. I mean, it can't be scheduled. He's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a rights issue, but it's just very weird the way they phrase that. Like, I understand what they mean, but it's pretty weird.
I love not my favorite part of this episode, but this episode starts out with Hulk just on top of a bridge, and like we just left a big city, and they don't really tell you where this bridge is, so it's just Hulk is on a bridge somewhere, and the military is after him. Like we start out kind of in the middle of some action. Samson's showing up with the Rage Cage 2.0, makes a bunch of baseball references, and then finally grabs the Hulk. And Hulk shakes this cage, which is electrified to stop the Hulk from fucking with the cage. He shakes it so hard that Samson has to let it go, or else he's going to crash. Which lands in the water and fries all of the military boats and the comms, and Hulk gets away.
Yeah, it's like an EMP. Like if you're standing on the bridge of the ship loses its systems, which like fine, but then his walkie-talkie loses its systems.
Yeah, it's
it's another cell phones work. It's pretty fucked up
whatsoever.
And Ross is very upset about this. He's like, "You fucked it up." Samson's like, "No, we did our best." And Ross is like, "Listen, I'm about to go get my brass chewed out. We're fucking up this bridge." And I'm like, "Now that happens?" Like,
yeah, we're 10 episodes deep, dog. Like, what? Who is your supervisor?
You've been fucking up nonstop. Yeah, like, who is this shadowy, permissive boss that you have?
I had a weird day today where we're kind of in an altercation with one of my customers, and they said like, "Oh, hey, if you guys don't move to rectify this situation pretty soon, we're gonna have to contact a lawyer." So of course, like everybody, like my boss, other people's bosses, everybody gets involved and is trying to figure out what we're going to do. And we find out later that we have some time, like because the lawyer is on vacation until January. Oh. So we're like, oh, okay, well we've got like a couple of working days, so we can work all this out. And it just reminds, like, is General Ross's like boss, is the superior general just on vacation right now? Has he been gone? He's going to come back in and be like, wait, what is a Hulk, and what have you been doing with all of your resources?
Yeah,
you could call me. I was just at the beach.
All these line items just have H next to them, like a little hand-drawn H next to them.
H.
And like our rage cage budget is fucking through the roof. Like we have bought so many rage cages.
So at the Gamma lab, Betty gets a letter and an email on an enormous 150-inch screen that's addressed to General Ross, and it's like, hey, there's possible Hulk sightings in this undisclosed location. I don't remember where they said or if they said it, but it's been attacking livestock and it's been terrorizing the citizens. You guys need to come up here and kill this Hulk. And she's like, no, that's not going to happen. Instead, I'm going to trash this letter and delete all records of its existence and take my shitty prop plane to the location and search for it myself.
If I say my name enough times, Hulk will turn back into Banner. And then we'll do something. For some reason we didn't hang out with Tony Stark or Reed Richards, any of the people who could solve this. We're going to, find the third Marvel scientist. What's Ant-Man doing?
No, not that one. The bad one. The good one.
Yeah. Then we cut over, and this is where this episode gets bad. So like these, like this Native American ceremony where they're talking about the Wendigo, as just kind of a non sequitur. The warrior that went crazy and got cursed by this medicine man. With the curse, he has to learn defeat in battle. It's difficult, so he went into hibernation. Every time, so like, I'm not a Native American. Obviously, like, the way that Native Americans are treated in media is garbage, and, we genocided them, and it's really shitty. Like, it's extremely bad. Every time they're portrayed in media like this, I feel like this is almost worse than if they had been, if it'd been like if it had been like a violent or like a malicious portrayal, because just being used as this generic, like, wisdom receptacle.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to play shitty airport woodwind music every time they're on screen. They're just going to be, like, one of the guy me and Brayton used to play tabletop games with used to talk about this, and he'd say how there's only two kinds of, in fiction, there's two kinds of Native Americans. There's the one that goes, the spirits are angry. And then there's the kind that goes, you've angered the spirits. And that's it. Like, there's two kinds.
Yeah.
And, like, it's true. Like, he wasn't being racist. He's talking about how it's shitty that this whole culture has been reduced to this kind of, like they're treated like they can't have, like, modern cultural context. They can't understand things. They're all just ancient rituals and stuff. It's a way for them to, like, introduce fantasy elements almost into the modern day.
That's all that this is. Like, anytime this dude whose name is it Johnny Whitetree? Is that the name of it? Do I remember that right?
And he's a character. He's a Marvel character, but like, yeah.
Anytime he's on the screen, he's either like dressed up in an outfit that he got from Spirit, like right after Halloween, or he's like doing some chanting and some wind noises are happening. I looked this up because I was curious and found out this guy. I don't know why I keep making Twin Peaks references today, but this is played by Hawk from Twin Peaks, and you wouldn't know that because it's so fucking generic. They don't give this dude anything to do besides like generic Indian noises. I didn't watch the subtitles, so I didn't turn those on. But I'm sure like anytime this dude was talking, it was like generic Native American sounds. Like that's what we're gonna do.
That's what I said in the bottom. And like, it's not like you can't have a Native American character and actually have them be invested in their heritage and stuff like that. But like one of the things before he got milkshake ducked, like I like the short stories of Sherman Alexie a lot, and he treats like all of his characters. That's what he writes about, like Native Americans, and like they're just people. Like they have this culture, but they're not these weird walking, talking stereotypes that are stuck in the past. Like they're modern, they have cars and stuff, and they they have jobs. They go to town, they buy things. Like they're just people. They're not like. I feel like media has this weird habit of treating Native Americans like cavemen, more or less, and it's really fucking kind of shitty.
It's really it's really gross, and it's
like
it's just a perversion.
We know the Wendigo is a real thing. Like we know that's a real myth. They're not making it up. That's not the point. It's just the point that like it is about. And the X-Men animated series did it too. And like every cartoons and just kind of media does this. It's just not treating them like real people. So he's going on this monologue about this. The Hulk is listening to this as well. He's like Wendigo, and. Is this where he turns back into Banner?
No. This is where
later. Okay.
That's going to come later. Yeah, that's when he goes into the
because they also have the power through their wisdom to turn him back into Banner.
Yeah, but not the power to cure him altogether.
No.
So this is like the Wendigo just shows up and decides to attack Hulk because it has to learn defeat in battle. So it's constantly trying to fight farm animals and Hulks is what it does.
Yeah, I like not defeat him.
Hulk has some really good lines here. Bash Hulk, Hulk bash back. Really fun. There's a whole lot of fighting, and then eventually this dude White Tree starts chanting, and the Wendigo like gets chased away.
Yep.
And this is Hulk, where the chanting turns him back into Banner. So
yeah. Yep, like the Hulk starts yelling at the guy, but then the chanting actually, de-hulks him. And he's impressed by that. He's just like, and then he runs away for some reason.
So, sure, why not?
Betty arrives at this point, and Gabriel helped Ross, like, track them, essentially, like, find out about this.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to send there. So Ross is going to be on the scene here as well. Gabriel,
Banner. I guess I may have not made my notes correctly because at the next scene, Banner is in White Tree's like house, like putting on a cool new shirt and learning about the Wendigo, and that White Tree is like related to the Wendigo, like this warrior that turned into the Wendigo.
Yeah. He does run away later. I think it's just mixed up.
This happened. I literally recorded an episode of my other podcast last night, and it had to do with Wendigos. Supernatural pronounces Wendigos Wendigos, and it fucks me up.
Sounds like a slur.
It doesn't sound good. And like they've done it. It's been like 4 or 5 episodes where they've either mentioned it. There was only one episode where they went to kill a Wendigo, but they constantly called it Wendigo throughout the thing, and it fucking weirds me out. So yeah, I'm happy to have.
It could be correct. I just don't know. Like I don't think so though. Wendigo sounds better to me.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So Gabriel tells Ross about Betty deleting all the messages, and then in a neat little level of character development, Ross is like, you know what, this is actually getting really hard because my girl Betty, she's my daughter and I love her and I want to support her, but she's in love with the Hulk, and it's my duty to my country to go fuck this Hulk up. So I'm kind of getting pulled in 2 different directions.
Well, and he says that at some point, either I think it happens later in this episode or earlier, but he actually talks to her and he's like, how do you think this makes me look?
Yeah.
Like you're constantly committing treason, and like you're my daughter. Like, so
look, I'll work at a paper supply company. When you steal the paper, it makes me look really fucking bad. Okay.
Every time you buy a Kindle, it fucks me up. Okay. Stop buying Kindles. I don't care if it says paper white. It's not real.
Why do you need 12 Kindles? I don't understand. Every time I log into my Amazon account, there's just a list. I don't know whose they are.
I'm going to start buying finding cheap Kindles, like find the cheapest fire sale on them where they're like $5 a piece, and put 2 pages of a diary on them and just leave them around like people are playing Deus Ex.
Oh, like environmental storytelling. Yeah, so you
just pick up a Kindle. It has two pages on it, and that's it. And that's the whole point of that Kindle.
Perfect. Yeah, I dig it. So Betty finds some tracks, so she's tracking down the Wendigo. The White Tree is doing some more chanting and is in a full, like, extremely weird costume that's really bad. And eventually just tells like Banner, like, "Hey, yeah, you were right. You were going to need some science to fix this. Like, I can't just fix you."
Yep. But Betty is in trouble. We have to help her out.
Oh, that's right. And Betty's in trouble. So let's go fix that.
So Banner runs out. The military capture him immediately, and this time they do it. Right? Like it's kind of weird. They figured it out. It's bracelets.
Who knew that the power bracelets from?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what video game has power bracelets, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's go.
But the whole idea is that they like every time he hulks, they de-hulk him from it. It's like sending alternating gamma waves or some bullshit, but it works. You know.
I mean, it works for a little while, and then eventually he's just because he tries to Hulk out and it goes through like these half transformations, which is actually animated pretty well. Like I dug this. But what he does is, because Banner is afraid if he turns into the Hulk, he's going to forget that Betty's in trouble. So he's like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to take this bracelet and put it onto General Ross, and then we'll both be attached. And then he just jumps out of the plane. So like it kind of works, but also he would just have like, it's not that Hulk. It's not the freedom of arm movement that makes the Hulk the scariest dude around. You know what I'm saying? If his hands were handcuffed in front of him, it'd still be a fucking problem.
Yeah. I guess the Hulk would be pretty rough if he just has hands behind his back.
Yeah.
It does something to him, though. It seems like a line of research that'd be worth committing to, you know, because it does de-Hulk him a little bit. I may have like looked and checked Twitter for like 20 minutes at this point in the episode. So he jumps out shackled to Ross.
Yes.
Which is pretty great. Like this is the cool part of this episode is those two being handcuffed together.
A classic like, good cop, bad cop routine right here.
Yep. Hulk cop, bad cop. I'm going to pound you, Ross. But then they hear Betty screaming, and he just drags him through the dirt. Like,
the animation on this is so great. He's just running, like he's doing a steady, which is one of the few times we see him run. Usually he just jumps, but and Ross is like barely keeping up. He's scrabbling on the ground. He's falling over. It's so fucking hilarious.
Yep, it's like a biker gang torturing somebody.
Yeah,
dragging
exactly.
him behind a motorcycle, except for it's Hulk. So eventually Ross stops him and is just like, listen, like you love Betty. I know that. I'm her dad. Like I love Betty. You know, like let's try to get these cuffs off and team up or she's going to die. You know, and this is cool. Like I think this is cool character development for Ross. He's about to put in the code to unleash the handcuffs when Hulk starts bashing them with a rock, and can't bash through them for some reason, which it's like, I've seen the Hulk do some pretty big smashes. Like this seems unusual, but he jams it so they have to stay handcuffed.
Are they made out of adamantium samurai? Is that the reason that they don't smash?
I guess so, but not the kind of adamantium that just cuts through all of their adamantium. You know, not the weak adamantium.
Not the hot adamantium. Adamantium.
Yeah, not lava adamantium. Lava adamantium. So anyway, so they're stuck together. So they start searching for Betty. They're searching for her name, and Ross does some like tracking stuff. Like at some point, he's like, I'm trained for this. Look at this tree. This was freshly smashed. Look at this track. It's fresh. Like, I got trained for this. You're a general.
Yeah, like when have you been tracking stuff? Like you're really bad at tracking the Hulk, and he leaves a path of destruction a mile long.
Yeah, it's literally all you do.
That dude walks. That dude jumps in a straight line, and you can't get ahead of him. What are you doing?
who can plot the end of a straight line if you know the point and direction that goes in?
All your fancy math computers, and you can't even go into a straight line.
I'm going to loan you a TI-88, and you're going to fucking find the Hulk. Okay.
So the Wendigo tosses Betty into a hole, and she just like wakes up surrounded by a bunch of bones and stuff, which is lame. Somehow White Deer, like I don't know what happens here. Like all of a sudden he's with Wendigo and telling him like, "Oh, your journey is almost in the end" or something.
He's like spirit projecting or something.
Yeah, I don't like any of this. This is bad. And Ross and Hulk are having this moment where Ross is trying to make Hulk understand how much of a shitty Hulk he is. He's like, "You're a monster. All you do is kill people and destroy things. Like you seem all right, but I'm not your friend." Hulk is like, "Hulk no monster. Hulk love Betty."
And like, listen, those are on different axes. I know I'm not trying to explain this to you, but let me explain the concept of and. Like you are a monster and you love Betty. It's not or. You know, like, you can be a monster and still love Betty. Like, all those people who died in your wake, they're real, and they had Betties too, and you fucked them up.
Yeah, you fucked up all their Bettys. What are you doing, Hulk?
That's how you get to the Hulk, is you explain to him how many Bettys died because of them.
How many Bettys had to die to bring us to this point?
Yeah, how many Bettys were alive when you first entered Hulk?
Hulk also says that he's going to. Betty escapes somehow, by the way, at some point. Like she's running through the woods. I think I looked at Twitter at this point. I was not paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I think I know what happened. Is Autumn was in the room when she was doing some work while I was watching this, and she was like, "This sucks," and I was like, "Yep, it absolutely does."
Yeah.
So Hulk says like, "Oh, it's my job to save Betty," and he's like, "No, it's not." Like Ross actually like fucking starts laughing, and he's like, "It's not your job to save Betty. It's my job to save Betty. Your job is to smash Wendigos and cousins. That's all you do."
Yep, and you're all out of cousin. So like, it's time to go Hulk deep in some fucking Wendigo. Hulk, this snake, dude, like. So out of nowhere, a snake has snuck up on them and is about to bite General Ross on the neck, where Hulk reaches out and summarily executes it. And then Ross, this is just so Hulk could be engendered to Ross or whatever. So he's just like, "You saved my life." He's like, "Well, Hulk, Ross, Betty, friend." And it's like, who is this snake? Why did the snake just pop up? Like, this is a very convenient snake. Like, this snake is extremely dumb. So now they're friends.
I wish we had like a brief glimpse of like the leader pilot in this snake, this animatronic snake or something. You know what I'm saying? Just
like
give the snake a little bit of depth.
He's riding on a little saddle.
100%, yeah. The Wendigo has been chasing Betty and has chased her to the edge of a cliff. She like picks up a stick and like tries to like stick this giant Wendigo.
General's daughter isn't going easy. I'm like, it's a Wendigo. You're gonna get don't.
Yeah, she's wearing blue jean cutoffs. Like she's not gonna fight a Wendigo. I'm sorry, it's not the way this works. So Hulk and Ross show up. They immediately get like kind of tossed to the side. Ross says, "Oh yeah, I know what I'll do. I'll use one of my stars to open this up because that works where a giant Hulk-powered rock didn't." Whatever, doesn't matter.
It's the power of the military. It's a metaphor. Gets the cuffs off. Betty runs over to Ross, and he's like, "The Hulk helped me find you." So they fight for a little while. The Hulk actually bests the Wendigo.
Yeah.
And it turns into White Deer, who's chanting, and like kind of like transforms into him. They're going to get some weird spirit transformations coming up soon.
Do not like it.
Yeah, no, this thing with the eagle at the end, I fucking do not understand.
Please tell me what happened.
Yeah, Hulk tackles the Wendigo into a cliff. They get buried in rubble. Ross says like, "I hope he's not dead," and Betty's like, "Really? Like you always want to kill him." And he's like, "Well, yeah." And this is when they explain, what it is. Like. He's like, I love him. It's like, I know you love him, but he's, and listen, I understand and I appreciate him. However, he kills people. I don't understand why you can't get this through your thick fucking skull. Every single time you've stopped us from capturing him, he's killed hundreds and hundreds of people.
You went to a fucking Ivy League school and you were an expert in gamma radiation, and you don't understand that this movie is a monster.
Let me introduce you to a little something called the trolley problem. Okay? Like, on one side of the tracks are dozens of cities worth of people. On the other side is your boyfriend. Like, come on. It's just she doesn't care about human life, She doesn't. And she basically says like, "Hey, I'm in love with the man. Like, I can't help it." And they just like get into a helicopter and leave. Yep.
What happened to Betty's plane? Did nobody ever want?
I don't know.
I guess they don't care about that. They don't care that they stole a plane. There's a whole lot more chanting. Like the chanting feels like it goes on for another 45 minutes.
Is this, Jeremy? Like this,
it's so bad.
So the Wendigo. So there's more chanting. The Wendigo, who's like a person now. Like, and this is not animated. Just one image fades out and the other one fades in. Turns into an eagle and flies away. And I'm like, if I were a Native American, I would flip the fucking table at this point. Like, this feels so generic. Like, it has turned into a spirit animal and has, flown into the great white north. Like, it just feels so dumb.
And that's
so dumb.
What is Ross going to go back and say? Like, oh yeah, the Hulk and the Wendigo died, and then like in 30 minutes, the Hulk is going to show back up someplace smashing something, and Ross is going to go, I guess not. Like, are they going to have to go look for the Wendigo again? Like, there's so many untied, there's so many untied trails here, man.
Yeah, I do not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it's trying to say or do, it's failing at. So extremely bad.
But it's over, and we don't ever have to talk about it again.
This episode is firmly in the rear view.
Do you think Wolverine would have improved this at all? Like, I can't imagine any side of this with Wolverine working, unless it was like Canadian wilderness Wolverine who didn't know who he was or something. Like if he was just literally like Wolverine fighting somebody. I don't know.
Like the Wolverine that showed up and would have like, unleashed samurai wisdom to compete in the racism Olympics, like would not have been good. Wolverine fighting Hulk or just interacting with him, I think would be fun. Like I would have liked to have seen Wolverine just kind of like have some one-liners and shit.
Yeah.
But thematically, it was not going to be. And Wolverine has something to say about controlling the beast within, right? Like, if this was a better cartoon, they could actually have a talk about that.
If you replaced all of the shaman bullshit with Wolverine, maybe I would be better.
And maybe that was the idea.
Yeah.
To be somewhat fair to them. Like, maybe that's what they were going to go for. Who knows? But it is, it's not my fave.
I had to look it up because I guess Wendigos have tails. Because the dude the Wendigo has a tail. For some reason, Wendigos never had tails in my head. I don't know why. I don't know what I was trying to say with that. But yeah, I just thought that was weird that they had a tail or he had a tail.
Yeah, I just knew that from the Wendigo action figure I used to have.
Oh, cool.
The Gary Butterfield that had 400 Marvel Legends action figures.
The happiest time of your whole fucking life. Huh?
Yeah, like and now it is. I would, if I could just like flip a switch, I wouldn't pay the money I sold for those back. But if it was just like, would you rather have those or not? I would probably, I'd do it so I could sell them again, but I would love to dig through them. It'd be really fun to do, I'd
love to have one more night with these action figures from my youth.
I would. It'd be fun to just like flip through them and then, and just like check them all out again, because there was definitely a bunch of cool shit. There's a bunch of garbage too. Like any kind of collection is a disease.
Yes.
And, I was buying things I did not really want, like such as the Wendigo. Just because it was a unique character, so I had to have it.
You had to check off that box on the back of the card to make sure you had every single one of them.
Had to get that Wendigo. This is the worst duo of episodes I think we've done so far. The pilot's pretty rough. Everything since then has been relatively entertaining, I think, but these two are pretty rough.
We're the next episode of this podcast in 2 weeks. We're actually going to be doing 3 episodes of the show because it's a 3-parter till the finale. So we're going to cover all those at once, just so we don't have to divide it up too bad. I'm looking through the descriptions of this, and I'm pretty excited about some of this.
I'm really excited. And then it relaunches as a short season 2 where it's him teaming up with She-Hulk.
Yep.
And there's like an episode where She-Hulk and a bunch of female superheroes crash a fashion show.
She-Hulk's high school reunion turns sour. She-Hulk teams up with Doctor Strange.
Yeah. She-Hulk bangs the entire Marvel universe. Like, I guess it should be. We should have said this early on. Like, there's no slut shaming thing. She-Hulk can fuck whoever she wants.
Oh yeah,
I'm
into
weird
it.
In this cartoon how horny she is.
Like, it's just bizarre. It's just a weird thing to have in a Saturday morning cartoon. So yeah,
it's the context that makes it weird. It's not just the fact that and it's the fact that it happened because of gamma radiation. I guess that's weird too. It's a superpower that she is horny.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It's a side effect that she's super, super horny. After we do that episode, I'll probably slot in a movie episode of some sort. Either it'll be Duckstream or it'll be something that we talk about that we have, depending on what kind of time we have with all of because we're right in the middle of the holidays, everybody. So we're trying to get all this stuff recorded, and then we'll start on season 2. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening. It's very much appreciated. If you like this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can give a couple of bucks a month. You can give a large amount of money per month. We're not going to stop you, and you get all kinds of cool benefits and rewards. This will be coming out at the beginning of January, so that Patreon has probably been updated and there may be some exciting news, but just in case that doesn't go through, I don't want to mention them here, so just go check out the Patreon site and look at all of that.
You can also tell your friends about the show. We see it when you do that. We really do appreciate it. If you want, you can follow us on Twitter. You are
we see you when you do that. We hear you when you do that. That's why you shouldn't have a fucking Alexa in your house, because it comes right back to us. We know what you're talking about. Any mention of Days of Future Cast, I get an email.
Yeah, I get a fax. I'm running out of toner. Please help me. My family is dying.
Weird flex, but okay, Gary.
Yeah, you are JG Greer on Twitter. I am Gary Buh on Twitter. And we really appreciate you. And until next time, good night.
Good night, everybody.